So as we think about passion to profession and how our coach today would actually say passion to impact, because profession is about impact. And then how does then coaching tie into that? So as we think about this conversation and as we wait for anybody who feels like there's something they really need to take away from today's session, as we wait for them to put in the chat, I'll go ahead and just introduce our moderator who's going to be taking us through this session. Her name is Sharon Jumba. Sharon Jumba is my colleague and she heads the marketing department. An amazing, she loves reading. She reads a lot of books. She's very knowledgeable. She's one of those people I can go to very easily just to get to, learn a lot of things, whether it's leadership, psychology, and all that. And she's going to be running this session, the moderating session. And then, of course, the lady of the hour, we have PCC, Claire Wanjiku. That was very deliberate. So Claire Wanjiku has an extensive background in leadership development, coaching, as well as human resource management and organization development spanning 20 years. I'm sure it's more than 20 years. Claire is also a leadership effectiveness facilitator, coach educator. So you're in the right room, you're in safe hands. Faculty member and associate director at CDI-Africa. She's my boss as well. Claire is the founder and the CEO of Vital Edge Consulting Limited, a boutique firm that offers HR and OD consultancy and coaching services. She has coached leaders across Africa, Asia, America, and across sectors such as fintech, social entrepreneurship, global humanitarian development, insurance, banking, amongst others. Her passion for growing leaders has seen her engage in global and local pro bono coaching initiatives with the Women in Leadership Network and more recently in the ICF Foundation. So welcoming these amazing ladies to take away this conversation moving forward. And I know all these questions are going to be responded to. And I've said, please don't stop sharing your questions. We want to see more of them coming. And then that way we'll be able to have a very, very insightful and productive session. Thank you again for making this evening happen. Asante. Over to you, Sharon. Karibu sana.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Most of us are doing this from Nairobi, and so for that reason, you're mostly in the good evening section. And so I'm so delighted to have you today. Thank you so much for making time to join us for this conversation. And as Namwaka mentioned earlier, my name is Sharon Jumba. I'm the marketing and communication and community management lead here at CDI Africa, and I truly enjoy doing what I'm doing right now. And so in this session, as we move along, I'll be working closely with Claire Wanjiku, PCC. We say that a lot around here because that is Anne. She's a professional certified coach, and you're truly delighted to have her here today. She's knowledgeable in these matters, a coach, trainer, human resource practitioner, and has really been intentional in doing this more and more. So before we get to further into this conversation, I'll have her start us off with letting us know more about the intricacies of coaching, or why coaching, why now, as Namwaka asked earlier, and then we'll delve down deeper into this conversation. So as Namwaka mentioned, please keep your comments and text and questions coming on the chat box. Do not wait too long. You may lose that question as you get more meaningful information as we move along. Karibuni. Welcome, Claire.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sharon and Namwaka. What lovely colleagues I have that are so supportive, and it makes teamwork here at CDI so easy. I just want to thank you and honor you. And thank you everybody else who have joined us today. And the way we conduct our coaching business, usually we like to see the faces of who is there. At least you can see our faces. Imagine if our cameras were off, right? So kindly just have your camera on so we can see your faces at least. Yeah, Dina, thank you. And Angela, you've been on camera throughout. In fact, you look like part of the CDI team. I'm really keen to see Titus and just to reassure him that yes, you may be amongst ladies, but there are more male coaches out there. The other faculties have had male coaches coming in and going. The alumni is full of male coaches as well. So don't feel alone. All right? Yeah? Okay, all right. So what about the others? Where are you? Clotilda. It's a very unique name. Uh-huh. And Mildred. Imagine I know Mildred from way back. Hmm? Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So let me continue because I know time is limited and we would like, there you are, Mildred. And we would like to also allow enough time for you to ask questions. So I'll quickly just dive into sharing a few slides here that explain what coaching is all about and the case for it, okay? Yeah, so first and foremost, we have a definition for coaching that we work with that has been propagated, designed over the years by the International Coaching Federation. And it says that coaching is partnering with clients, and sometimes we call them coaches, in a thought-provoking and creative process that then inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. So that is really the definition of coaching. So, and therefore it is not mentoring. And of course, if you get into the program, we will talk a little bit more about the difference between coaching and mentoring as we go on. So what does coaching certification entail? And I imagine that's really what you're interested in. First, there's a training aspect of it, which is about the skill set that you get of a coach. But more importantly, is the mindset, all right? Because there's a certain mindset that a coach needs to have or posture or behavior that then allows for fruitful interactions that build trust with the people that we are working with. Without that, then it becomes very difficult to become an effective coach. So for example, one of the mindsets of a coach is that people have answers to their issues. They have solutions within themselves. And therefore, the skill is how do you draw that out? So we actually do a disservice when we advise people, when we tell them, without really giving them an opportunity to say or to draw out what they think, because actually they do have the answers, all right? Sometimes they don't, few times they don't, and therefore other interventions can come in. Then we also go into certification just to increase our credibility, to have credibility as coaches, because we know, especially after COVID, there are many people who decided to sort of rebrand themselves and they called themselves coaches, you know. So what is it that makes you stand out as a professional coach that is credible, all right? That is practicing coaching according to ethical standards of a coach. It also gives you confidence when you get into certification, and it also allows you then, because of the credibility, because of the confidence, you can then earn higher revenues, yeah? Then the other thing also is you get into a globally recognized coach training school. So there are many coach training organizations out there. So, and it's important for you to choose the right one, because that can really impact your credibility, your certification, and even when you're bidding for jobs, you need to actually produce certification from credible organizations like ICF, the International Coaching Federation, EMCC, Organization of Executive Coaches, and the others that are listed there. So CDI is affiliated to the International Coaching Federation, which is the largest coaching body across the world. So we've got about almost 80,000 coaches scattered across the globe. So we hope that you will be one of them shortly. Okay. So let's look at very quickly, what are some of the trends of coaching and its impact as we look at this? This is a 2023 research that was done by ICF. And I do believe that a lot of these trends are still there. Of course, AI is moving pretty fast. But let's just see what this is. Globally, it is estimated that approximately almost 100,000 coach practitioners were there in 2022, and there's and this was an increase of 55% on the 2019 estimate. So you can see that coaching is a growing profession, and it's a recognized profession. It is a regulated profession now. Okay. Then 93% of managers or leaders using coaching skills have received some coach-specific training. So they didn't just wake up and say, you know, I'm actually an expert in this area. I have 20 years of experience in engineering, and therefore I am now a coach. No, they went through coach-specific training for that, including 79% through programs that are accredited and approved by a professional coaching organization. All right. So you can see it's not just haphazard coach training. It's going to a credible training institution to be able to get the right training. Then number 3, increasingly, training is through programs that are accredited and approved by a professional coaching organization, right? 85% of those people who were trained in 2023 went through these such bodies. And this has actually gone up since 2019, where we had 74%. So you can see, again, the trend is growing for, going for professional coach training. Then large majorities of both coach practitioners and managers and leaders using coaching skills agreed that individuals, organizations using coaching expect their coaches to be certified or credentialed. Okay? Or sorry, expect their coaches to be certified or credentialed. So it means that for those of you who want to work with organizations as coaches there, you will find that now there's a demand that you be certified or credentialed as a coach for you to actually be accepted. So there's a difference between certification and credentialing. Certification is, for example, if you come to CDI-Africa for the global diploma, you get a certificate from CDI-Africa. But if you want to take that a notch higher, you can go for credentialing. And credentialing is now global recognition, and it is only ICF or the other coach bodies that offer the credentials. It's almost like we have ISPAC, and ISPAC will give CPAK, for example, right? Whereas you can have other colleges giving certificates. But also the beauty with our certificate is that it is also globally recognized, because CDI is actually credentialed or certified by ICF. Okay, so it means you can present your certificate, you can present your credential anywhere in the world, and it's going to be recognized. Then 80% of people who receive coaching report increased self-confidence. Yeah, self-confidence, because we are saying answers are within you. And the minute people discover that, wow, you mean I can do this? You mean I had the answers all along? You mean I now have the clarity? I'm empowered to do this. And therefore, the confidence comes in. And that's transformation that, can never go away. Then 70% benefit from improved work performance, all right? Because you're more self-aware, you're more grounded, You have more emotional intelligence that comes out of coaching, so you can relate well with others, all right? And therefore, it culminates into very effective communication skills. So what we say here at CDI, if you come for the programs, if nothing else, at least you will not remain the same person as you came in to the program. Then 86% of companies report that they recouped an investment on coaching. All right, the return on investment is higher. So organizations have discovered that training and mentoring is not enough. Sometimes you train people, they go, they hang the certificates on the walls and it looks nice, but hardly there's no transformation. But when you coach people, you find that you go deeper into mindsets, you go deeper into belief systems, you go deeper into motivations, you go deeper into identities and all that. And that way, people are able to see themselves more clearly and therefore act differently or develop very more effective habits or ways of being. Then tech advancements such as digital coaching have allowed coaches, especially those with global certifications and credentials, to coach across geographies and diversify their earnings. So if somebody was to ask, why is coaching as a business better than any other business, I would say this is it. From my own experience, I work from home. I used to have an office. It didn't make sense anymore because all my work is virtual. So all I need is a desk, Wi-Fi, very good Wi-Fi, a very good laptop, and I'm good to go. I coach people across Africa, and I do all these things without moving away from my house. Sometimes I even wonder what my neighbors think I do. Because I had to leave the house, okay? So, and you can diversify your earnings because now you can earn in dollars, you can earn in euros, all right? Because you're coaching out there. And more importantly, you become, multicultural in the way you operate. So you're able to understand people from different cultures, and therefore you can be able to really coach diverse clients across the globe. Then, so the other thing is about niches, coaching niches. So that then allow you to respond to issues, to respond to pain points that your clients are dealing with, challenges, all right? And the good thing with niches is that they allow you to get into a space that you're actually interested in, all right? Or a space that you already have experience in. So for example, for me, having had a background in HR, it was very easy for me to transition into coaching. And I started with career coaching. But also because I had been a leader myself and I worked with leaders, supported leaders, it was also easy for me to get into leadership coaching, all right? So we've got many niches there, wellness. So if you're into wellness, you can become a wellness coach. And maybe you already have a background in that. Financial coaching also is another area. Coaching founders who are, working on startups, relationships, whether people, you can become a dating coach, you can become a premarital coach, you can become maybe a coach that looks at relationships between teens and their parents. I mean, it's just so wide that the possibilities are many. Change management coaching and so forth. And this allows you to specialize and zero in so that you can also differentiate yourself from other clients. And it allows you to market in a more focused way. Yeah, so why invest in coach training? I think we've looked at this, but I'll just be very quick. Heightened self-awareness, you become more aware of who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, and you're able to work on that. Then enhance emotional intelligence, which allows you to really build your interpersonal skills, build trusting relationships, both professionally and personally. And then number 3, you can improve your leadership effectiveness, because then it can, it can be anchored on a coaching approach where I think somebody mentioned there, you have a human-centered approach to the way you work with people. So instead of the, command and control, you're able to inspire people to actually produce, be more engaged and all that. Then number 4 is enhanced capability to professionally handle structured formal coaching conversations. So if you want to really get into coaching, then you can learn, how do you actually coach? How does a coaching conversation look like? How do you start? How do you end it? All right. Revenue generation, I think we've talked about that. Okay. There's a rising demand for coaches as more and more people are becoming aware of the need to have a coach as somebody who can support your growth, help you think through, help you set goals and pursue goals and all that. Then you can also access resources and tools for coaching advancement, as well as, more importantly, the networks that you can cultivate, both within the class, within the cohorts. We also have the ICF local chapter. You can become also a member of the ICF Global. You can also connect with other coaches around the world. It's so easy. And that way you can build your business, you can learn more about coaching, etc. Right? Then there's also global positioning and credibility. I think I talked about that, because the accreditation, they are global. The certificates are also globally recognized. Then lastly, and I think this is the big one, even for me, is it's just the legacy you leave, the purpose, the sense of purpose that coaching can give you joy and fulfillment, all right, by supporting others. Every time I coach people and I see them getting it, I see them growing, I see them transforming, my goodness, I cannot describe that feeling. I feel so honored. And I always know that I made the right choice becoming a coach, just because of the impact. And you see, the thing with coaching, the impact is not always on the person you've coached. It transcends to the people around them, because they become a better version of themselves. So it means their relationships get better. It means the people around them, whether it's their children, whether it's their spouse, whether it's their students, because we also have coaches who are teachers. We also have pastors who come in. You can imagine the ripple effect is amazing. So, and these are just the niches. I won't go through them. I'll just leave that for you to see. What are the possibilities for you to pick on one niche? But when you come into the program with CDI, we don't teach you the niches. We teach you the coaching itself. How do you coach well? How do you understand the competencies? How do you demonstrate the competencies? How do you get to understand the ethics of coaching? So that then, from there, you are ready to get into your niche area. Then if you want to learn more about your niche, then you can do that. Okay? So I think I'll stop there. No, there's just one more slide on the application of coaching practice. So what are the pathways here? We are saying, 1, you can become an internal practitioner of a coach. Say if you are in HR, as a HR manager, or if you're in L&D, learning and development, organizational development, talent management, or a corporate trainer. Coaching comes in very handy, because you can combine that with what you're already doing. Okay? Then you can also become a coach educator like myself. So this requires you to go from certification to credentialing. So once you're credentialed by ICF and you are conversant with the ICF core coaching competencies, then you can become a coach educator. So training people to become coaches. All right. Then the other one is you can be both an internal or external practitioner as a coach. So internal is where an organization can hire you to come in and coach members of their team or the executive, and you would run that as a separate, as your own entity, or you can become an external practitioner, which we call a coachpreneur. So a business person who is running their own coaching practice, all right? And then there's also external practitioners as well, which is maybe you have a consultancy, you're a trainer, you train on different things. You can also incorporate a coaching approach within that. Okay, so there are many pathways to this. I may also add there that you can become a mentor coach, someone who mentors people who want to become coaches, all right? You can also become a coach supervisor, someone who is specifically trained to sort of help coaches with issues that they encounter during their coaching. So maybe you went through a session, the session didn't go very well, you are struggling with something, then you can go to a coaching supervisor. And I think in counseling, those who are in counseling have also similar arrangements. Yeah. So Sharon, do I pause there for questions before we go to the next segment? In fact, I'll stop sharing.
You're right. Thank you, Coach Claire. You've actually covered a vast aspect of what we would have taken today and answered a good number of the questions that were asked earlier. So I'll therefore just go ahead and ask you a few that you can expound on and right away get to the members present to go ahead and ask us questions that they'd like to be answered. Because today the focus is for us to share more information about what we do, but most importantly, to answer the questions that you have. So thank you. Please keep the questions coming in. Keep anything you'd like to have clarified, shared with us, and we'll be delighted to do so. So Claire, you talked immensely to why anyone should invest in coaching. But I'd like you to double down on that in a minute or so and let us know there are many things that we can invest in this season, time and age, and especially in a time where people are having money crunch. They hold back to their finances a great deal. Why would anyone, and especially the people who are on this call right now, specifically invest in coaching? Why should they?
Okay, first and foremost, I think I spoke to some of the areas. Let me say the capital outlay for coaching is very minimal, right? Like I mentioned, you don't really need an office to be coaching, unless you're coaching maybe high-level executives that want to know that you have an office, they want to find you somewhere, Otherwise, I would say it's very easy to set up coaching. Mariam, please mute yourself. Then the other thing is a flexibility that coaching gives you. So for example, I find that I own my own time. I can schedule sessions the way I want. I can decide today I'm blocking the day to do my other things or my other business. I can coach anyone, anywhere. So for example, at the moment, I'm coaching people who are in West Africa. So that means we coach when? In the afternoons is the best time. Sometimes if you're coaching people who are out there in the US, you can coach at night. The time is yours and you can use it as you would like to. Then the other thing is I've found that ever since I became a coach, my goodness, I have grown as a person. I've grown in many ways because one of the things you learn to do is to self-coach. So you coach other people, but you also learn to coach yourself. And sometimes that may happen even unconsciously. So when you have problems, you find yourself asking yourself questions, sitting down to reflect. So, and one of the things you become good at as a coach is self-reflection. Then I've also found I am better at problem solving. So I look at my issues in a more sober way. I am more patient as a person, especially with my children. I think I have really transformed, all right? I'm more patient with people. I'm more accepting of people, less judging of people, because I believe that everybody has potential. Everybody has something to offer, all right? So that allows me to honor other people, to respect people, to listen before I judge, and to also understand, because I've listened to many people and I've learned that we are all on a journey of sorts. And therefore, I cannot judge someone. I may be ahead of them in the journey. They are also coming somewhere in that journey. Then, of course, the other thing I've found is that you grow as well as a coach, okay? Because coaching is one of those things. Of course, obviously, if you come in with the right motivation, which is the motivation to help other people to grow, most of the time that comes with a growth mindset for you as a person. So I've found myself having an appetite to learn more on coaching, to grow myself on the coaching competencies, the coaching ethics, to grow myself even on areas of emotional intelligence. I find I read a lot more on psychology because I want to understand people more, because I mean, people are my products. I offer a service where I interact with people. So the more I can understand people, the better. And of course, you make money. You make money. And especially if you're consistent. My journey in coaching, by the way, I started coaching, I left formal employment in 2012. And at that time, I knew I wanted to go into coaching, but I didn't know how to, because I checked internationally, the programs were way too expensive. I couldn't afford. So I decided to go into consulting. So I was doing HR and OD consulting. Then I discovered coaching and I became a career coach. Then I worked on that. Of course, it was not easy, because coaching, if you're not coaching within an organization and you're coaching as a business, it's a business. And sometimes we assume because we love coaching, then we love coaching, it's okay. Then you discover there's a business side of it. Oh my goodness, there's marketing. You have to create a pipeline. You have to advertise. Oh, there's KRA, there's VAT, there's, all these things you have to do. And most of the time you start off yourself. Sometimes there are dry patches. So you have to keep at it. You have to keep at it. So I went from there. I did more certifications, organizational effectiveness coaching, team coaching, Global Coaching Index as an assessment. So I did a bit more as I was doing that. And I have found that maybe it took me about 3 years to really say, wow, I'm now stable. I'm getting there. So therefore, what am I trying to say? Okay, not all of you will take that long, because maybe some of you already have, you are already in a niche area. You already have a network, so you can always leverage on that network, all right? So it may not take that long, but it means that you have to have tenacity, all right, as you build your brand as a coach, because most of the time, maybe you are known for something else. For example, I was known as a HR person, but now I'm building a brand to be known as a coach. So it takes a while as well, investment and time. So have I answered everything?
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's something that I've really found to be very interesting. The fact that when we are certified coaches and so, or coach other people at the same time, then the ripple effect is truly immense. that it transforms us as individuals. And so we are able to function better, self-coach, as you said, be patient, function better with other people. And when you get a chance of coaching other people, then there's that aspect of recognizing that their family life gets better, their professional life gets better. So the impact is immense. And so if you're interested in dealing with people, making impact, then you are in the right place. So I'll proceed to the second one, but we'll really go through this hastily, considering we have many questions on the chat. But I'd like you, Claire, to please let me know what are the things that one must consider if they're looking to become a certified coach.
Okay. So one, like I mentioned, is you have to have the right motivation. Why do you want to become a coach? If it's just about making money, you may be disappointed, all right? But if you're, okay, it may work out eventually, but the fulfillment may not be there. So first is do you have the right motivation? Two, do you have a coaching disposition? All right. And I think you alluded to that earlier, Sharon. A coaching disposition is where you love working with people, you enjoy interacting with people, you like to see people grow, you are patient enough to help people with that process, all right? You believe in people, all right? And all that. So that's the other requirement. Then the other requirement, of course, if you're getting into certification, is the time. Do you have time for this? Time to not just attend the classes, because the classes are usually once a week for 3 hours virtually for a period of 6 to 7 months, right?
Yes.
But also beyond the classes, you've got assignments. They're not very heavy assignments, but the assignments that are demanding are those that you go coach other people and you make at least 50 hours of coaching before you sit for your exam. That needs time, that needs planning. But then, of course, because the training is not just, it's not like a theoretical class where you go to learn strategy and those kind of things. It's very practical and it's transformative. So it means that whatever you learned last week, for example, if we were learning about how to listen like a coach, it means that from the time you leave that class, you are learning to listen like a coach. You understand? So you can't now from there onwards not be listening like a coach. Otherwise, then it defeats the purpose. You understand? So there's a lot of intentionality to unlearn things that you've picked in the past, and to learn and relearn some things. All right. And that takes time and it takes commitment. Of course, also there's a money part. It's not cheap, but at the same time, it's affordable because CDI has been gracious, recognizing, the economy is tough, especially for those who are self-sponsored. There can be a payment plan that is agreed to for that. So I think that's really what I can say are the prerequisites for you to come into the program. But of course, it's also good to have a goal, as part of your motivation. So why do I want to get into coaching? What do I want afterwards? What do I want to do this? But even with that, you find that it gets clearer as you go through the program, all right? The more you understand about coaching, the more it's clear. And at the end of it, we have what you call a capstone project that you present, which is about how are you now going to use coaching? What is your goal? Yeah.
Impressive. One of the things we hear more and more about is how wholesome this training is and how much it's really expansive. And not only expansive, but very experiential. I think we get that a great deal. And when you talked about the 50 hours of coaching, it reminded me about the fact that you not only get the coach certification, but also it gives you a step ahead or an upper hand when you're doing your credentialing process with the International Coaching Federation. So that is something we'll get to learn more about as time goes on. But then our program gives you way more hours, both in terms of coach training and in terms of practice. And so by the time you're getting out there, then, or by the time you're getting your practice started officially, then you are coming from a place of an advantage over other coach trainers. And finally, let me finish up with this before we get to the questions asked.
Yeah.
Why is coaching so relevant within the corporate space right now?
Wow. So that's an interesting question, because more and more, I think corporates have discovered that one of the ways to change culture, maybe a culture where you build collaboration, you build accountability, high performance teams and all that, is through coaching, all right? Because with coaching, then you're able to, take people through what is required. They can assess the mindsets that are needed. You can be able to help to influence the way people think, their mindsets and all that much more easily through coaching. And not to forget the fact that it's possible for corporates to measure the impact of coaching, all right? Even on one-on-one, you can measure the impact of coaching. Then two, we've seen that over time, this whole approach of command and control doesn't work, because then you find people just come to the office, they do what needs to be done, and they leave. Their hearts, their minds are not there. All right, let me say their hearts are not there. But when you coach, because we are using a human-centered approach, where you look at people as human beings and not human doings, therefore, then it means that the approach that the leaders would use, or you find in the workplace, is where people listen to one another, where there's trust built, all right? Where people lead with questions and curiosity to understand. So when mistakes happen, we are not blaming, we are not doing these things. We want to understand what happened, where there's innovation, because when you lead by asking people questions, you believe that your team has the answers, all right? And therefore, when people find that, wow, I'm being listened to, I'm noticed, I'm seen, then they will produce more. And also, so for those of you who would want to get to coach in that space, you're able to build your brand, all right? Much better, because as you bring in your coaching skills, it means that is equal to leadership skills, self-leadership skills, self-awareness. You listen better. You can manage upwards much more easily, because you know how to handle people, you know how to handle even a difficult boss, all right? You can, network much more easily within the workplace. You can volunteer to coach others within the workplace. So in fact, a lot of our alumni that have come through that that work in organizations already, as in they're not looking to get into coaching as a business, have actually set up, coaching, some coaching centers, or they've started coaching as an initiative within the organization. And one of the things that CDI also supports through a different program is for those of you who want to embed coaching within your organization. So you want to go and sell it to your senior management team, that let us build this as an approach of how we do things here. We also have a program that can help you design that and move step by step, all right? Then you can also gear yourself up for promotion just by coaching skills. We've seen some people who've come through the program, they've embraced coaching, they've become visible even in senior management teams, because one of the things you do as a coach is you're more curious, you listen better, you ask the right questions, you know. So, and those are leadership qualities. And you find that such people have earned promotions. One person told me that they had negotiated for a role. They didn't like the role they were in, and they negotiated for a role that had to do with, like a chief of staff, learning and development, whatever, because they had gone through the coaching. And, people saw that. So there are many, many advantages of doing that, not to mention even the relationships with your co-workers that you're able to cultivate and develop. You can stand out as a leader with these coaching skills. Managing conflict, for example, is also another area that you can really be equipped at as well.
Wow, that is impressive, Claire. And we'll dive right into the questions. But before even we do so, I've just recognized the wealth of knowledge that certified coaches bring to organization, the transformative power that coaching comes with, they come with coaching in the organization, and how much it can be transformative for them. And so for the people on the call today, whatever your interest is, whether you'd love to have private practice on this or you'd love to stay in the corporate space, there is room for you and there is space for you to make the difference that you so much desire. Thank you so much, Claire. So I'll proceed and look into the questions that have been asked earlier. I may not ask all of them, and the reason is a number of them have already been responded to earlier when you were taking care of the slides, when you went through the slides, and even with the questions that I've asked you in the course of this conversation. But even as I'm looking at the questions, I'd like to ask you all, ladies and gentlemen, to kindly mention to us what has been really interesting out of what Claire has shared so far, what we've shared with you so far. What is that one thing that you've had and you're like, wow, that has truly answered a question for me, or it has given me a new perspective, or I'd love you to double tap on that matter or to talk more about it. So I'll therefore proceed and look into the questions that have been shared with us. So I'll start off with, okay, you responded to the niche of specialization, Claire, and mentioned that we will not really do the specialization in the course of the training, but as time goes on, then people are able to establish where they fit best. And towards the end, the capstone project can help you figure out where exactly you'd like to get to. So Prosi asked, what are the requirements for joining this program at CDI Africa? And I bet you've also equally handled that when you mentioned more about the posture, the position of anyone who would love to be a coach. But if you'd like to mention more on that, please just in a minute, kindly mention what requirements Prosi would need for that.
Yeah. So I think I covered that. There's a money part, there's a time part, the intentionality, the motivation, and also the plan for what you want to use the coaching for as you get out. And maybe I just want to add something on the niche, all right? So it's not surprising that you go through this program and you still don't know what niche you want to get into. And that is perfectly normal. What we recommend to people is get out there and just be a general coach. Yeah. So coach diverse people. And what tends to happen is that with time, you will find, what kind of, conversations make you tick, You'll find where you gravitate towards. You'll find, for example, I don't like clients maybe who come to me about relationships. It's not an area that I like as much, but I really like working with the youth, on helping them grow with their career. So that's something you can discover with time. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure. That is great. And then Caroline, you had also asked a question on that, and that at what point do you specialize into youth leadership, etc. I believe that is well covered. So I'll go back up and mention about coaching is a way to avoid feeling lonely, especially for leaders. Lonely at the top for leaders. I think that's a common phenomenon. Is that true? And is there a community for coaches, Claire? Is there a community for coaches?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So when you coach leaders, especially C-suite leaders, that's one thing you offer as a coach. They are very lonely. And there are things they are not able to share with other people because of vulnerability. So if you're able to build trust with them, you find that there are many things they share. And you see, in coaching, we say we coach the whole person. So rarely do we find a situation where, say, if you're a professional coach, people will sometimes bring up personal issues. Why? Because they're intertwined, all right? So I'm stressed at work because my child is unwell. Or, things are not going well. I've been promoted, but they want to relocate me and my family will not relocate. There's always, it's always intertwined. And that's what sometimes you find now, even as you coach the executives, there are things or leaders, there are things you may be able to help them, even on a personal level, that they are not able to share with other people. Yeah. I don't know. I think I've answered that one, right? Yeah.
Do I have?
Yeah.
And having mentioned that, then I'm looking into Titus' comment where he mentioned that to become a better leader with what he is interested in this session is to become a better leader with a better approach to appreciating that we are first human. And that's exactly what we're speaking to Claire right now, that we are first human and all these things are intertwined. We cannot separate one aspect of life to the other from the other. And Angela mentioned that for the niche of specialization discussed, does it require additional specialized learning, such as another diploma or certification? Also, she asked that regarding ICF membership, is this a separate diploma program, or can you enter directly after completing the CDI diploma? I think we covered this, but I'd like you to please double tap on that, Claire.
Okay, thanks. So to become an ICF member is actually very easy. The minute you sign up for this, the CPC diploma program, you are eligible to apply for ICF membership. It is $250 a year. And the minute you join ICF membership, you automatically become a member of the ICF Kenya chapter, all right? And there's a lot of benefits you can glean from that. You can attend webinars, live. You can, get to know about trends in coaching. You can get to know what events are happening globally. You can get to network with other coaches. With time, you can also volunteer to be part of the ICF Council of Members. And there's so much there. And locally, in the local chapter, there's education series that goes on. You can advertise your training programs. You can meet other coaches. You can ask questions where you are stuck. There's a lot there. Yeah. So there was another question before that, Sharon.
Okay, sure. The other question is about if there's any additional specialized learning, such as another diploma or certification with regard to specialization or niche.
Okay, all right. Good question. So sometimes people already have know-how or experience in an area. Let me look at financial wellness. Yeah? If you want to be a financial coach, most of the time, people who get into that field have a background in finance. So they know about budgeting, they know about managing finances and stuff like that. So it's very easy to just get into that niche with the tools you already have. You can design tools and just start coaching, all right? However, if you feel like you want to add some more know-how and all that, it's up to you. You can go ahead and increase. But the thing with ICF, the way ICF works, say if you get a certificate now after this global diploma program, so that will be a certificate that is issued by CDI-Africa. So if you want to be credentialed by ICF, part of the requirements is you must go through further training. And they give how many hours of training you need to have undergone through an ICF accredited program. So if you go through a program that is not accredited, they don't count that, all right? So it's fishing for programs that where you know, I want to learn more about this, I want to learn more about this, but then is that program accredited? Because if it's not, then I'll not earn CCE points. Okay, so that's the way it works. But for the niche, you can learn whatever you want. But if you want to be credentialed, you can look for niche trainings that are accredited by ICF.
Great. So you've mentioned something really interesting, that CDI-Africa is accredited by International Coaching Federation. So any further form of credentialing or upskilling some more is done by the same ICF. So it means you're in the right hands. And as I mentioned earlier, then you do have a high number of coaching hours, actually more than is required when you're taking your program, and even your training hours are equally high. So I'll combine these two questions, what Lillian asked and Irene too. Irene asked, why coaching? You covered that a great deal, but you can just look into it slightly. And then Irene asked, is coaching for everyone? Why coaching? Is coaching for everyone?
I love those questions. Yeah. So let me start with, is coaching for everyone? No. Yeah. So no, because coaching is not all right? Sometimes people need other interventions, all right? So I'm going to use an analogy. For example, when we are coaching, it means that the glass is full, okay? So you are drawing out what is in the glass. So it means people have the answers to their issues, all right? So in that case, you use the coaching to draw out their inner wisdom, what they know. Sometimes people don't know, and they don't know. Therefore, the glass is empty. So coaching would be futile in that case, because however many questions you ask them, they just don't know, all right? So in that case, maybe what you need is mentoring, all right, to fill that gap. Or what you need is training to fill that gap. Do you see that? Or
Yes.
sometimes people have psychological issues, all right, that are bothering them, and therefore they don't need coaching. They've come for coaching, but you discover, no, it's not coaching they need, it is therapy that they require. Okay, but of course, when you get into the program, we talk a little bit more about these things. Or sometimes what people are looking for is advice, not coaching. So there's a skill of then listening to know, what is this person before me? What do they want? And that's something we teach in the program. Okay.
Yes.
So that's on the one level. Then on the second level, there are people who are not self-aware at all. Okay. They think they know everything and cannot be told anything. They think there's nothing for them to learn. They have arrived. So when you encounter people like those, they are not coachable. You cannot coach them. All right? Because coaching is for those who want to learn and grow, those who believe that there's something for them. They want to move from one level to the next. But you find people like who feel they've arrived, they know it. It can't work. Like I've come across a few like those who would say from the minute, from the get-go, they ask, so why am I here? Maybe they've been sent by the organization. Why am I here? When you tell them it's coaching, they're like, I don't think there's anything I don't know. And you ask them, is there anything you struggle with, maybe that you could improve? And they say, no, I don't think so. So they definitely know that one is not coachable, and you let them go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing, Claire. So in the interest of time, I will have to pause on the questions right there. and ask
Yeah.
you, Claire, in a minute to kindly share more about the Global Diploma Professional Coaching. And at this point in time, Namwak, I'd like you to get ready to give us a little bit more details on that, because I can see a good number of questions are geared towards that direction in order for us to help all the attendees get their needs met tonight. So Claire, please just in a minute mention that.
Okay. So is it Namoka or me?
You to get us started in a minute, mention a glimpse of it, and then Namaka will take it up from there.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, so about the program. So like I mentioned earlier, the eligibility is that you need to be motivated. We have a genuine interest and desire to support others to transform their personal and professional space. All right, that's where we kick off this. And then what sort of a DNA do you need to have as a person? Just a natural tendency to attract people and to build trusting relationships, because you'll find that coaching is so trust-based. If you can't build trust with people, you can't coach, because coaching is where people come to talk about their issues. And if you want to do deep transformative coaching, you have to they have to feel safe with you to open up, all right? Then recommended qualification, at least a bachelor's degree in any field, or work experience of at least 7 years in any field. All right. So we want to build on your experience, okay? Because at the end of the day, coaching does not just exist in isolation. It complements what you already have and what you already know. So you'll not be starting from zero. Then the program is offered virtually via the Zoom platform. So you need to be able to have that established, sorted out. And it's for a duration of 7 months. So we meet, like I mentioned earlier, we meet once a week for 3 hours. There's a 10-minute break in between. And what else? Yeah, so, and there's usually a break of a week between modules. So we have 4 modules. So about 3 breaks of a week each in between. So just to give you some breathing space, right? So all our trainers are accredited by ICF, and therefore we practice using the ICF Professional Code of Ethics, all right? So things like confidentiality are very key in the way we practice. We also embrace the ICF values of humanity, professionalism, and all that. Then the description of the program. We are very versatile in the way we run the program, and it's very interactive, by the way, yeah? So when we come in, we exchange ideas, we practice in class, and it's very comprehensive. Then what you get, which is what Sharon was mentioning, you get an international rating of 103 approved coach-specific training hours by ICF, all right? And actually for this program, it's usually about 60, yeah? Yeah, so 60 is the hours that, the standard hours. So you can see you're getting a bonus already, yeah? Of 103. So it puts you ahead so that if you want to go for credentialing, you're already ahead in terms of the hours. So it's designed for those aspiring to position yourself either as internal coaches within organizations. So an internal coaches can be you're a leader already, but you want to be able to use a coach approach in the way you lead. Or you can have, some organizations have designated roles of coaches within the organization. That's your job description, all right? It's not common, but it's increasingly a growing practice here in Kenya. Or you want to be private professional practitioners, external practitioners of what we call coachpreneurs, watu wa biashara wa coach, all right?
Yeah.
So about the program, what do you get from the program? Those hours. Then we train you on the coaching competencies. So this is about the skill set and the behaviors of a coach, and how do you employ them in a coaching session or in a coaching engagement, all right? So first and foremost, we begin with your own self-awareness, because we believe you cannot be a great coach if you're not self-aware and if you're not well-grounded. So we look, there's an assessment you do, a Clarity 4D. Maybe some of you are aware of it. It's not very different from Insights. You know, they use the color green, yellow, blue, and all that. So just you get to know your strengths, your weaknesses, areas for development. Then you also get personalized coaching, because we believe you can't learn about coaching without you yourself experiencing coaching. So the way you learn is by coaching one another in the class. All right, so there's a way we organize you throughout the program. You get to do that. And one of the byproducts of that is people develop friendships, people even become business partners from that. And you also have a network going forwards, okay? Then we have 11 group mentor coaching hours. So it means that you are observed in class by the trainers. So you coach, you get observed, and you get feedback, all right? Then you also are designated a mentor coach who is also part of the faculty team, and they listen to you coaching, you record yourself coaching, they listen to you, and they give you feedback according to the coaching competencies. So all this actually is very, very comprehensive preparation for your final exam. And for you, when you get out there, you become a solid and grounded coach, all right? So I mentioned the 50 hours on your coaching log. So as you practice coaching, you must also go out there and practice with other people and put in a log where you must accumulate 50 hours before you can sit your exam, okay? Then membership eligibility, I've mentioned that. Global ICF membership, as soon as you sign up for the program, you've paid up, then you can pay up the $250 and become a member of ICF. Then you can also become a member of CDI's affiliate program, membership program. This is an alumni program, again, because we recognize we don't want you to just graduate and then disappear and our relationship ends there. So we have a lot of engagements with our alumni. So for example, when we have coaching projects that come in where they need a number of coaches, those of you who are interested can apply to bid for those jobs. We've had a number of alumni get into very interesting coaching projects as well. You can also get into a program, a business development arrangement with CDI, where you refer people for the classes and you get a commission, all right? Or if you want to continue, you get credentialed and become part of the faculty team, that is also available. So there are different pathways for engaging, all right?
Yeah.
Have I finished? Yeah, and the alumni club.
Oh, yeah, great. I think in the interest of time, we may not be able to go through the modules because we
Yes.
only have 3 minutes to 7 p.m. So for that reason, Namwaka, you want to give us an update on this? I think Claire has really done it so extensively, so exhaustively. And so I'll therefore proceed to share more or redirect the attendees in this open day to how they can contact us. If this information that you've gotten today has been of interest to you and you'd like to really take this conversation forward, so kindly go ahead and fill in the interest form that is on the chart. Go ahead and fill it up. And you can as well take note of our cell phone number and email address, Wanjiku's email address and cell phone number, whereby you can as well reach out to us and we will hold this conversation. So you know, we have an upcoming cohort of the Global Diploma Professional Coaching later this month. It should actually be starting next week. But if you're not ready for that, not to worry, that should not make you hold back from filling the interest form. We do have room for 2 more in the year. There'll be another in July and another later in the year, should be September or October or so. So if this is something that has really interested you, please do not hold back, not any longer, because what is available now may be very different in future days. So the sooner you take it up, the better. Okay, so yeah, so that would be the end for us tonight. Namwaka, do you have a word for us as we finish up?
Just to say, asante sana for participating, for signing up. We can clearly tell that there's a hunger for coaching for most of the leaders who've signed up, and keep that hunger on. You can also follow us on our social media handles because we do share a lot of information as regards to coaching. Feel free to even book appointments to speak to coaches through wanjogo.mathenge@cdiafrica.com. We've just shared the details there. And yes, asante sana. And from CDI to you, we are very grateful. God bless you as you continue carrying out your impact. Asante sana.